time, I understand that two people that are involved in this fight, Paul and Tyson, that Tyson obviously was a tremendous fighter, right? Tremendous champion, tremendous fighter, and iconic now. And if that's what he chooses to do, he's kind of through the bumps and bruises of his career and everything it took to get there, and to accomplish what he's accomplished, through all the true blood, sweat, and tears of that. I think that kind of earns you a right to do what the frick you want to do. If you can live with that, if that's what you want to do at that point, to make this decision, you kind of earn the right to do that. Earn the right to do that. Not just have the right because we live in a country that gives you rights to do things, but actually paid the price where that's what you want to do. Okay, go ahead. Godspeed. Do what you want. And the other guy, the guy that gets a lot of Paul criticism, I say one thing for him. He had 20 million followers or whatever the frick it was on YouTube, right? And which is incredible. I don't even understand the YouTube stuff, how that works. But he had all these followers. He had a vision. He had a vision, he had a dream to say, you know what? I can take this to another platform. I can take this and I can do this. I can take it to the boxing platform, which, boxing allows you. Football wouldn't allow it, basketball, but boxing is kind of open in a way. It's always been, even though it's been around for longer than any other sport, it's been, there's aspects of it that still feels like the Wild West sometimes. That you can come in the door and you can set up your own little place. You can put your own flag down, set up your own place. And I give him credit. I give him credit in two ways. And I understand what Eddie's saying. I get it, but I'm an old timer. I'm a old school guy with boxing as much as anyone. But when you have that vision, and you're willing to take the criticism, you're willing to go and risk yourself, and go and try to make that vision a reality, and then you say, okay, I'm going to go get a trainer. I'm going to put time into the sport. That's the part where he won me over. That he didn't disrespect our sport. That he went, he worked his backside off. Yeah, he picked his spots. Yeah, he sure did. He picked his spots off, but he put himself in a position where he could do that. And he still fought MMA guys that were, they were older, but they were still fighters. They still could punch. There was still an element. There was an element of danger. Yeah, he looked for the edges, but there was still an element. Except for the first fight when he knocked out a little basketball player or whatever it was, he went and he fought guys that had been in the furnace before. The furnace of fighting, where they get in the ring and they know what that heat is, and they can deal with that heat. And if you haven't dealt with that heat, even at 40, even at 39, even though they're naturally small, even though they weren't boxers, they were strikers and MMA or whatever they were, they're still going to get you because they've been fighting their whole life. You haven't been fighting. You were doing YouTube. And so there was still a risk factor that he took. And again, that he respected, I'm going to say my sport that I've been in my whole life, that he respected our sport enough to go and learn it, to study it, to work hard at it. And when people say, yeah, but Teddy, look who he fought. Again, I'm going back on that. Hey, I know I'm comparing oranges and apples right now, but just to put it out there, to get people's attention why I'm saying this. Look, Canelo, of course, he's been a fighter his whole life, and he earned the right, again, to get to a point where he can pick his spots. And he does, he picks his spots. And listen, he's tremendous, Canelo. Don't go crazy, you Mexican fans that I love. Don't go nuts now and get the bows and arrows out. You've hit me with enough of them. I'm not going against your guy. I'm not going, your guy's great. He's great. But he's at a point where he can pick his spots, and he's now picking his spots. Yeah, he's picked his spots. And now he's fighting a 58-year-old guy. Yeah, all of that. But if people will, again, he had a vision. He worked to take that vision, take it to a platform, to make it a reality, and then he went into a new sport. He worked hard. He's still a work in progress. He's still learning the sport. Again, he is respected enough to go in there and say, okay, I don't know nothing about boxing, I'm going to learn. Or I don't know enough, I'm going to learn. I give him credit for doing that. Isn't that kind of what we teach our kids? That we say, hey, you have a dream, go pursue it, work your backside off, take the risk, don't sit back and talk about something. Go out there and put yourself out there if that's what you want, and there's risk to failing, there's risk to other things that come with it, but if that's what you want, go find out, so later on you don't live in a jail cell for the rest of your life, a solitary jail cell called regret for the rest of your life. So I give him credit for doing that, and I understand why he's doing that. So again, when Eddie Hearn says that it's disrespectful of sport, the first part of what Eddie says, I get it. I understand why he says it. But then I go past that. I go to where I just went and say, you know what? In his actions of the way he's gone about it, he hasn't disrespected the sport. He's went out there and he's applied himself to it.
Teddy, it's always a pleasure sitting down with you, breaking down fights, talking boxing. It's been a good half an hour, so I do appreciate your time, as always.
As always, listen, let's be honest with each other here, okay? I know you appreciate me. I appreciate you. You're a good person. I appreciate you. You're a family person. You got family. You're always talking about them. You're always going back, thinking about how quick you can get back to them. To me, that's the most important thing, the character of the person I'm talking to. Not just that he knows how to do an interview, the character of the person. That otherwise, I wouldn't want to make time for somebody that I don't think is worth in that way, because there's a million cameras out there, there's a million microphones out there, but there's not always a million people holding a microphone that you could say, you know what? That's a person that I would do more than an interview with. I might actually sit down and spend a little time with, because of the person that I think he is. But at the end of the day, when I said, let's be honest about it, when you come to see me, you always have to have more film than you have to have with someone else. We know that. That's a silent thing between us, between me and him. He knows that, and he's very polite about it and everything else. And then once again, he's got to go back to his hotel now, get new film before he does any more interviews for the day.
Teddy Atlas, thank you very much. Have a great day, and I will be seeing you at the press conference, which should be interesting. Thank you very much.
No, my pleasure. Like I said, my pleasure.